Our festival runs because of the in-kind products that businesses gives us on top of unpaid labor, to be real, from volunteers and sometimes from staff. And hopefully it's now our turn to return the kindness to folks like John, Eric, and Chris. One of the privileges that I have in my role is that I get to share space with folks like John, Eric, Christine, and Tracy. I understand this privilege now more than ever since we now have to socially distance. Knowing now that I can't just pop out of the office and go to the courtyard and watch Tuesday Night Cafe with you folks. Right after the shutdown, Tracy had messaged folks that if they could, please come by and the restaurant and support. I think at that time, everybody just had to look at defeat, especially for all of us just trying to figure out what COVID was about. It's also the first time I've kind of seen that on John, Eric, and Christine's face during that time. And you know, driving home from Hi-Fi, you know, back to Long Beach, you know, of all folks that could do something about this and turn this around, no more resilient folks like John, Eric, and Chris. So out of that came Feed the Frontliners project, and it was born in a way to support our local heroes. And tonight we celebrate you as really the people's heroes. And folks, let's move the program forward. I'd like to welcome Tracy Kato Kiriyama, our host for the evening as well. Tracy's bio is in the chat, but I just want to say thank you for your service to Tracy, to the people, and to our communities. Folks, please welcome Tracy Kato Kiriyama.
Welcome. I'd love to bring John, Eric, and Christine onto the screen right now, because we're just gonna get right into it. We have, there you are. Welcome them, welcome them. We love you, we miss you. It's so good to see your faces. We're gonna spend the next 20 minutes or so just chatting with you all. And I was just thinking today about the segment when it, you know, your first appearance on Triple D. I can't believe it's been 7 years. I did not realize that. And I was thinking about Vanessa and I were sitting next to each other and we were just like screaming and crying and screaming and crying. And I'd love for you to just think back to that moment 7 years ago. Like what did that day mean to you? And what did the days and weeks and months after mean to you? All the good, all the bad.
Okay. Well, first, can we toast and cheers everybody online, virtual toast to everybody that's online. Everybody, we're celebrating together and we love everybody and we thank you guys. So it's a trip. April 1st, we got a call from Cyril was in transition of a job and he called and said, you know, he was working as a server, untrained server at that time. And he goes, "Hey asshole, answer your phone." I was sick in bed. And I see a call from Denver and it says, "Hi, this is Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives. Do you have a second? A restaurant dropped out. Can you be ready in 2 weeks to film an episode? By the way, Adam Sandler, David Spade, Kevin James, and Chris Rock will also be there with Guy Fieri." After that, it was going to be airing a month later. So when people talk about the Guy Fieri effect, it is something that is real. It's real. It's a phenomenon that establishes small businesses,
equalizer for small businesses, because I don't know, a lot of small businesses don't have a budget for marketing, and this really provides an opportunity to put us in a national stage to just let the world know what we do. And it's crazy. It's the amount of the response that we got from it and the traffic that we got from, you know, we're a small spot on Temple and Edgeware and there's not a lot around us. So the fact that people were coming to our little island to give us a shot was amazing. And also a lot to handle because we just started out. We were trying to figure out our whole systems with starting out our new restaurant, transitioning from catering to a brick and mortar. really learning after a mentor of ours passed away, and we were trying to figure it out. So we had a lot of staff come through and train as best as we knew with the limited restaurant experience that we had. And it was rough. It wasn't easy at all. And there's a lot of testing and challenging going on, and tears, and it was a lot.
What's an example of what was rough? Was it some of the demands
You have
that you were making?
You have somebody that's coming from a distance that have seen the show. They drive, and we're overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. And they have expectations.
We have no more food.
Yeah, you run out.
We don't have ice. You know, you're waiting, and to get your food, and for whatever reason you're irritable. You're already irritable.
Yeah,
we're falling short. We're spent. We don't have everything available, and you say, you know what, pure hype, nothing special.
It's easy. It's easy to say that.
And we read that the moment we get home, or we get notifications, because we were surviving from the love of our community supporting us and enjoying the food that we were making. But if it's our community itself, let's say that's 30% of our revenue. Where's everything else coming from? So having locals, more people come out was great, but there's also these attitudes and expectations where we still had a learning curve. Mm-hmm. We didn't have all of our equipment ready and available. And if you're gonna notice this episode compared to the previous one, we had 4 toppers and 2 toppers in our original episode. So when you come in with a party of 16, how do you transition and set up placements for a small Filipino or Latino family, right? You have to wait till somebody's gone. And if it's 2 people, they're sitting on a 4 topper, you're -2. So there's science and math behind a restaurant. So what we were able to do is in this next transition, we're able to design some kind of booth systems and approaches and procedures to make it more conducive.
Easier to transition from one party to the next.
So now we're smoother, but you can't sit down.
We learned. We showed up. As rough as it was, we showed up, and we did our best for the people who experienced something, that might have been less than what you thought.
So if you have a hard time, we're sorry.
But wasn't it also, though, that for every one poor-ish review, very picky review, or even like cogent review, like on Yelp, you also had dozens and dozens of folks who became new fans who wouldn't otherwise, right? I think you all tended to hone in on like the one terrible review.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're grateful. We're definitely grateful.
Yeah.
Because it still was like winning the lottery for us. And I don't know, thanks to the person who dropped out for their spot.
They're so sad.
You know, we actually no. Let's be very Langers. Langers said thank you. But we're a community institution and we don't necessarily need all the extra press. So when they reached out to us, their desk agent reached out, did research, and found us and said this might work. And what's crazy about that episode, we were featured with the Anguili family, and we used so going back to dynamics, we used to do yard work for Mr. Suhu's house off of Alpine, and he would take us down to Eastside Deli and say, John, let these kids put them on my tab. So you had a Chinese guy going into an Italian deli, going to the back, eating Italian cold cuts and saying, yeah, I'll take care of these boys. We ate that sandwich twice, every sandwich on Eastside Deli's menu twice. So it cost us more for yard work sandwiches than it did for yard work. And to be on the same episode, that was an example of a business that has been established in our community when it was Little Italy. And they've always treated us good. We always wanted to say, this is something that we want to have down the street. And to be on the episode, literally a mile away, down Temple, make a left on Beaudry, this is a representation of Los Angeles. So
it was definitely special. Real. It was crazy how it kind of aligned that way, because it's really family throughout that whole episode.
Yeah. And like you said, with Langers even making that move to just step aside, like that's the way it should be, right? That's exactly the way it should be, you know? And I think in that same note, you know, I wanted you to also think back even further. So we went back 7 years to the first episode on Triple D, but take us back, like for thinking about all the things that make it possible, all the people and things, the moments that make it possible, from your earliest days grilling in the neighborhood, John Eric, to moments we've heard you talk about with Chili Visions, you know, the pop-up in my backyard with like, what was it, $20 in the basket, you know, watching the catering move to the brick and mortar for those folks. And because we're recording this, like for posterity, like take us back a little bit to the very beginning, that transition to the brick and mortar and sort of the things that preceded to make that sort of reality.
So I think as far as us being able to make that next move for the brick and mortar wouldn't have been possible without the perspectives, experiences that we had with community organizing and all the organizers that preceded us who instilled in us these perspectives and values about community building. We wouldn't have all connected if it wasn't for that. So there was previous generations who looked out for us, who made sure that we were looked out for and that we were guided. And it was through that guidance that we were able to keep that bridge together over the years. And what is that a result of? That's a result of previous generations and experiences with the first wave of migration. Happy Filipino American History Month, everybody, also, by the way. What the previous generations, the first waves, second waves of migration that came, and for the Manongs and folks that experienced so much racism, being treated as second-class citizens who worked hard to just preserve and create a sense of community then. All of that tied up to us wanting to preserve and remember, honor and reclaim space, and continue to reclaim space in this neighborhood as it's changing dramatically, especially now with this pandemic. We're really trying to keep this alive. And what kept us alive is the community.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I think it's super amazing. Yes, let's be in tears. Let's do this. We're so, you know, grateful for y'all. You know, I know you hold so much gratitude for the community and for all of us, but we hold you right back. You know what I mean? We have so much gratitude. And I mean, even thinking now from those early moments to, and I have to say, I love that you credit community organizers. You know, I watch the Chef's Table and like all of these food shows, and I read a ton about chefs, and I love reading those stories, you know, how they went to culinary school or they were taught by their families. But it's a rare story also that you share to really think about like the organizers, the folks building community, yeah, to really bring us to where we need to be of service, right? And on that note, I want us to, because time is moving fast right now, I want us to like speed up all the way to March 2020. And this thing called Feeding the Frontliners. And I want you to tell us about that a little bit and bring us to this moment now and in terms of how we can support you now and next. And I want to give some context to folks. You know, Feeding the Frontliners, I don't know what John, Eric, and Christine are about to say, but I have to say from a community perspective, from a friend, family perspective, I don't know if you all knew, I think so many of us outside of the Park's Finest in your concentric circles of family and community, we knew you were going to figure it out. We knew you were going to figure it out because your lifelong organizers, taught by organizers, you have the buy-in of the community, and most importantly, beyond the savvy as great organizers, you all have the hearts to be of service. So you were able to make sense of a model that would not only benefit you, but benefit all the people relying on you. And then on top of that, the community around you. And that's freaking amazing. But we also were like, of course, we fucking knew they were gonna do that. You know what I mean? But tell us your version of it, like how you got there. Because we know it wasn't easy.
You know, that day when there were those, we were kind of bracing ourselves for that moment when restaurants were told to stop dine-in operations.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot, it's like, how are you gonna make it through that? How are you gonna survive through that? How are you gonna make that? It's, yeah, it'll kill businesses. We tried it out. That first week, it was rough. And then we thought about the healthcare workers who were coming in and asking us how we were doing and how they're doing and how they needed food, sorry. But, so folks were coming in that were working to make sure people were gonna make it through this pandemic. Healthcare workers were coming in and talking to us, and you know, our hearts were going out to them because they're coming into us and telling us about how it was hard to get a meal in and then going home to cook for their families. So we got that. We found, you know, okay, let's try to hook them up, because at Thunderbolt, they were so kind enough to also think of the front of the house workers who suddenly were out of work. Just like that, like all of a sudden you don't have a job, and they made a way to create a free meal program for out of work hospitality workers. And we were also looking at the healthcare workers who were coming in and needed some assistance too, and we wanted to try to accommodate for them and let them know that we wanted to be there for them. So we put the call out on our Instagram to let them know that we need to create the people's plate for healthcare workers so that they could get some food. And the community came through. LA came through. So thank you. Thank you. Because not only did you make it work for us to continue operations, we could keep our doors open and try to figure something out.
You know, March 15th, we had to call people and say you don't have a job. And tell everybody we don't know when we're coming back. And then I went to Little Tokyo just to get change and buy some coffee. And everybody in Little Tokyo was crying because we couldn't say hi to each other. All the old people were there. As much as historic Filipino town is my home, Little Tokyo is my home. Yeah. And everybody was scared. So all we had to do was try our best, and nothing's guaranteed. And you know what, to be honest, man, there's guilt because we're able to pay rent while people get closed down every day. There's guilt because we have to stay true to who we are, and every day something crazy happens. So, you know, all we do is try our best to stay positive and stay healthy and make sure that everybody around us feels that we care and it's going to be all right. But it's hard. It's hard to be strong when those that we need to be strong are failing. They're failing miserably. So when we talk about all the times we've had to deal with struggle, one of the most basic people you've needed was somebody to cook a fucking meal. If you were in Manzanar, who was the person cooking the meal? If you're in the death march, who is cooking the meal? If you're new off the boat, who the fuck is cooking this meal for you? Most of the time, they're people that look like our community. So if motherfuckers got problems with us being able to give food to people and can't do the basic decency of trying to follow some guidelines so we can all stay alive, then we don't want your business. And at the same time, if you're willing and if you trust us to do our very best to offer you hospitality and service and food with some heart and love, then you can come to Thunderbolt. You can enjoy a drink, and eventually we'll be at the Park's Finest too.
But know this, as rough as it was for everyone, the help came from all of us supporting each other. It wasn't coming from the top. If there was some assistance, it stopped. And how important is it to maintain and build and sustain community? So,
yeah. And I think when you mentioned guilt, you know, I think in your case, that is related to having perspective and humility. You know what I mean? You weren't just like, oh, we're making it because we're badasses. Mm-mm. You know, you're always cognizant of the people around you. That's what makes you who you are. And as long as you guys are going to keep pushing, we're going to keep pushing. You know what I mean? As long as you all are going to keep pushing, we're going to keep pushing. I mean, that's why we're here in this very moment. You know what I mean? So, and I know it's hard, and we want you all to take a vacation. Like, we want you to have some time off at some point. But I know how much you're pushing every day, and so we're so grateful. It's way more than I thought we were going to cry. Oh my God. So to that,
seen each other. When was the last time we saw each other?
I know, it's wearing on me. I know.
And like how important is a motherfucking hug to our people?
Seriously.
But
yeah.
At the same time, we got to protect these elders, because they are the chain of the history of what the fuck has happened to us and where we need to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody that's on chat right now, everybody that we're seeing, knowing that we love y'all, and just
this is like
it's a celebration.
We have not connected like this
in a minute.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm happy that we are connecting.
Yep.
So we are
on that note, let's do one more toast.
Every little victory.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the people. To the people. Ooh. Oh my. I haven't, look at this chat. It's just like going nuts. All the love. All the love. We have just a couple minutes before the episode airs. And before we go though, like, can you tell us like what's next? How can we support you now?
We are going to be having a Thunderbolt LA and the Park's Finest pop-up at Thunderbolt LA. We're happy enough to be featuring Suntory as well as Knob Creek, and be able to have our team at Thunderbolt provides outdoor patio service, not also including just Thunderbolt's patio, but our patio side. So we're very lucky to be able to we're going to do our best. We got to really, really map this out and really ask for people's self-policing and self-governance to make sure this is as smooth as possible. But this Tuesday from 12 to 6, we're going to be serving the People's Plate. So what we've been feeding the Frontliners, it's going to be a full plate, fat plate.
Combo with the
P-Town Boxing Club.
Also, shout out to Dave for hooking up a limited edition shirt that we're going to be putting out for Filipino American History Month. Look out for that. So we're going to be figuring out what we're gonna do. We're trying to figure it out. But right now, we're gonna sustain the program for as long as we can. We don't know how long it will go, but as long as we have the opportunity to do so, we're gonna try to keep it going as long as we can.
Okay. And we're with you all the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are gonna grab this iPad, and I believe we're gonna walk downstairs.
We're gonna walk
with the staff.
down. The crew is downstairs. The crew that's been feeding all the frontliners since March.
So folks out there, we're going to get a little bit of a play-by-play. We're going to get to see the staff. They're going to get to wave at y'all. And then you don't know what order you're being shown in the episode yet, yeah?
No, we've never seen this before. So what?
Okay.
So this is the dynamics of it is that it's 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock, but that could be 9 o'clock Los Angeles, as well as the premiere happening in 9 o'clock Eastern time. So we're going to use the app to be able to watch it, live as soon as it goes on the Food Network app. So we don't know. It's 3 businesses that are being featured. They're all Triple D alumni. So this segment is called Triple D Nation. Not many of y'all have ever seen our office, but that's Christine's desk. Luke made that wonderful piece that was our original signage, and we are going downstairs. So yeah, y'all have actually this is.
Let's see. Let's look at some of these comments while you're doing that. Oh, there's so many. So much love. Miss you, community. Let's go, Lakers. Then you deliver to Daly City.
We got flowers. Check this out. Celosias and succulents.
It's beautiful.
So the patios popping, right?
Yeah, so you're gonna have people out there. Wait, is that the Park's Finest side?
It's the Park's Finest side.
Okay.
Well, this is the crew that's been working on feeding on the meals for the frontliners since March. This is the crew right here.
Can our participants unmute and show some love? Can we unmute? Is that possible in this world of hiding? There we go. Unmute. Show some love. Woo! There it is. So I think we're just going to be watching along. Hey.
Yo.
Oh, it's on now.
You recognize somebody, you gotta take a shot. That's only the day. If you know somebody in this fucking video, you gotta take a shot.
Who's there? I can't see.
All right, here.
The romper room. Call it out. Oh, what up? Oh my gosh. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Oh my goodness. Mm. We love you all. Oh my goodness. So in the chat, I would love to hear, do you all remember the episode 7 years ago? I'm sure many of you were there when we were all together watching it live, but I'd love to hear if you remember that episode. Oh, Cat Carito's in the house too. Of course, Allison, of course, Elaine.
These guys are a little loud. Hold on. I'm gonna run upstairs and grab my headphones. At least I know what the hell.
Okay, prop us up somewhere so we can look at something.
Yeah. Come here.
I mean, that's what it's like to be a business owner. You never allow your best. I mean, you own businesses, you know what it's like.
Yeah. Hey.
How you doing?
For a few weeks afterwards, and people asked me,
Oh, wow, you were actually in the episode. B-roll, eating the food in the background. I got it.
Yeah.
What's going on? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Are you staying sane and healthy?
I'm trying. Yeah. Oh my God, you don't know how hard it was to actually get this going, this video going. So like finally.
Yeah. This was filmed what? This was filmed like when?
Say it again?
This was filmed last year?
What?
This episode coming up, it was filmed last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was kind of nervous too. Can you hear me?
Yeah, folks, this is Noelle, by the way. Oh, you know what? We have some requests, man. We have more than a few people on the chat requesting that you dance. Can we? I'm not gonna. No, we're not taking shirts off. We're not taking shirts off. But we're gonna. You know. Hey, you want to dance a little bit?
I need some music, you know.
I know we need music though. Ah!
I need music.
I know we need some music because I know we'll go for so much more. But that was a pretty good body roll, Noelle. Thank you.
Yeah.
We didn't have breakfast before.
So
now we have the whole breakfast.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's coming up, so
Yeah.
kind of like a little self-conscious, but
Why? What are you self-conscious about? Being on camera?
yeah, I'm not used to being on camera, so it's like, you know.
Did they catch you doing some dancing?
No. But you'll see. You guys will see.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We're glad you're holding up. We're glad you're still there. We're glad you're holding up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're grateful to still be here. You know, and it's sad that, you know, other restaurants are, you know, out of business now, but we're grateful, you know, with our donors and this project helped us out immensely. So, like, I'm really grateful.
Yeah. And what we were saying too in the community, we're grateful for all the service that you have done, you know, because you've in turn served so many people. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
So thank you guys. I mean, without you guys and everyone else, the whole community, we wouldn't be here right now. So like, thank you so much.
It's circular. It's circular. Yeah. Oh, let's see. I think people are not satisfied. Let's see, who's this? Maya Lutero. Well, you haven't aged a bit since high school. That's really nice.
Oh, I'm blushing.
You haven't.
Oh my God. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a minute.
I know. It's been way too long. I was just telling my partner that like I've been able to kind of hold on, you know, in terms of not like being okay and seeing people just in Zoom. I think it's starting to hit me now. Like,
yes, the norm now.
But it hits me more so that like I can't, and I haven't seen people in person. I think it's all really hitting now, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, I'm sure, let's see, people out there, are you all planning to make it on Tuesday? What is the hours? It was like between 12 and 6 on Tuesday?
Yeah, between 12 and 6,
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna be
Maybe
crazy. I'll be here running around like, you know, my head, good chicken head cut off. But it'll be fun. We're ready for it. We've been through the craziness, so we're definitely ready for this.
Yeah. Well, hopefully a lot of the folks on this call will spread the word out even further about Tuesday from 12 to 6. And maybe we can We can air hug.
Yes. Not bear hug, but air hug.
Air hug.
Air hug. On that note, I'm gonna take the lead. So it was nice chatting to you, and see each other soon.
Okay, see you soon.
All right, see you.
Bye.
I gotta get my headphones, but
All right.
so folks we're trying our best to make sure everybody's wearing everybody's wearing their masks,
Okay.
maintaining some distance, doing some online chatting.
Yeah, I see everybody keeping space. What's up, man? Ah.
With the beanie at, dude. I haven't seen you without the beanie. I have a fresh shaved head, baby. I haven't seen you live without the beanie. All right, I'm gonna.
John Eric, folks love your mask.
Thank you. You know it's a trip. Here, let me. This was made. So let's put it into perspective. This is made by Kato. She is a respiratory therapist in Long Beach Memorial Hospital. So this mask is actually extra fabric from Christine and my wedding, where you are our groomswoman.
Hey.
You're our groomswoman. So this extra fabric, so what's cool about it, since we're out in the field, like the strap
right
is better than the ears,
right,
because the fatigue, that shit gets really hurt. So in that process, she's able to do 2 layers, and then we are also able to slip a surgical mask inside. So you have a surgical mask inside as a filter, and then a malong as our mask. So what's cool about that is stay cultural. I mean, we've been wearing masks since March. So if anybody's saying that they're gonna die, they can't breathe, come on, bro. We've been wearing this for years. We've been wearing this for 7 months.
Yeah.
So there's no way that we're lacking oxygen. We're just trying to be safe. And the reality is, just assume that all of us got it. And if we did that, then it would dramatically reduce the exposure and the risk factors for all of us.
Yeah.
So, basics, man. Wash your fucking hands, cough into your arm, even with a mask, and don't be a racist motherfucking dick.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly how I approach it, every day. Like, I'm the only one that goes in my mom's house. So every time I go in her house, I have a mask the entire time I'm there. Look at everybody being so socially responsible. I love it.
And then what's from our perspective is there is an element of us, we can still be close. We can still hug. Relative. Just wash your hands. Don't touch your face. If you have a surgical mask, sometimes folks get really hardcore about, well, I need the germs to build my immune system. But what are we learning? If a mask reduces variable particulate matter by 90%, we're getting whatever COVID-19 that's out there in such small dosages that we're starting to build immune system. So instead of inoculating ourselves by having a fucking mask, and if there's somebody in here that has it, we just get a little bit of it. And that's what's sad to say is if you're stuck on an airplane with tons of recirculating viral organisms floating, and you're in close proximity, how many COVID-19 cells are in your system? That's the drastic thing about the math, is how much COVID is in your system at any one given time before your body can handle it.
Right.
Once it can't handle it, what it assumes is that we're an attack. So your white blood cells, everything starts to attack. Yeah, they're up. Here.
Hey. Here we go.
Huh. So
Are you on?
we go. Yeah, well, for after this commercial break.
Okay.
So.
Well, you know, the other thing I was thinking, and Sean Muir and I were talking about this today, like at a certain point too, though, travel has to like come way down. We're flying and training and driving that stuff back and forth. Back and forth and back and forth. Like, stop going to France, people. Stop going to France.
You know, 2020 is definitely going to have multiple books having the discussion of what happened from different perspectives, socially, politically, economically. And we have to be really honest of what happened for us to have a better analysis of how this happened and what would we do to transform it. Because if not, then fuck, this is going to happen 100 years from now. So what's exciting, at least we have technology to have information together, to have at least an ideal best practices stance. Other motherfuckers don't want to listen, that's on them. But at least us, in our own communities, be the most strict as far as our interactions. But let's still be honest, wash your hands. As basic as washing your hands and limiting what's coming through your breathing, we can hang out together. But I still would say, let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait till the general numbers come down, because there's gonna still be a tourist. See, these are the dynamics that we have to deal with, is that you have a fucking tourist who doesn't believe in this. So they go to Silver Lake and Atwater and they start flipping tables and throwing tacos at your staff. People do not seem to understand, how the fuck do we deal with our staff on the line, dealing with the pressures and stresses of being exposed, but also bad attitudes from the worst customers. So
yeah, that's real right there. Because way too many service workers are getting it because we want the convenience of like going out and being served. And yeah.
So I mean,
I hear you.
be cool. Like
yeah.
in a global pandemic. Oh, we up next. Here. We're gonna do this like
here we go.
We're gonna do this like the pirate, like the old videos. Yo, we up next. Yeah.
Is the volume up?
Yo, can we turn up the volume, please?
Tad. Sean? Yeah.
Probably learn to dance for yourself. Yeah, big, you got me see some of my moves. Chris, Mike, and my two people who love taking care of people. Just like your mom did for me. This is Mama Leah's old lady. Mama Leah's my mother, who took care of 13 people in a 3-bedroom apartment and fed them this whole life. So when you use top room, this is how much your mother would go in an apartment with 3 bedrooms? Maybe a little bit more. Pink salt, pepper blend, copious amounts of dried onion in the garlic powder. Mama Leah's coconut meat is the most traditionally Filipino dish that you're gonna have. Now, is it going in this smoker? It's gonna go into the wing. It was our original smoker that we started off with a catering company. So for the big work, you put it in the rig. It looks like it's hooked up to my barrel. If it's missing, don't you blame me. We let this run anywhere between 6 to 16 hours after dark. I think I'm moving the car. I would say, we take it the top round and we heat up the water. We start to roast it. This is what you need to get. This is what we get 13 people. At least 3-bedroom house. You move since then. It's not so that. Where's your mother? She lives with us. We still live together. We're not leaving that apartment. And this last long time now. You got the sword after.
No, dance.
He danced for us. John Eric, put it to the screen. I can't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Open it and smoke, and it's kind of like a crock pot. So you hold it in there, pull it out, give a scoop on rice. Then you got to go crazy. Wow. A lot of flavors in this. Oh my gosh. You ate that as a kid? Yeah. No wonder you didn't move out of that apartment. You'd be thirsty. Coconut beef stew? You know it as Gatiani's number one seller.
The beef is so tender, there's a little bit of spice. It's just food that's made with a lot of love.
We want to continue to represent Filipino food. It is food that's welcoming that you can share.
Yeah, Tracy!
We decided to make a worker Wednesday.
Yeah! Woo!
So we have our split chicken seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic, onion. So we did the onion for about an hour, slice them into pieces, and coat it with our signature barbecue sauce. We start off with pineapple sauce, tomatoes, soy sauce, water, minced garlic, California yellow chilies, tomato paste.
And this is a newer dish, right, John Eric?
Well, it's our sauce. It's a house sauce. So what they wanted to do was add recipe description and present it. So it's a candy coated chicken.
15-hour pulled pork. So here you go. 15-pound pork butt, and we season it with our general seasoning of pink Himalayan salt, black cayenne powder, and chili flake blend, and as well as our garlic and onion. We cook it for 180 degrees for 16 hours, and it develops a nice bark. And we need 2 scoops of white rice, 16-hour pulled pork. Our hot link medley, which consists of spicy frijoles, a red hot, and a Filipino sweet longanisa. Roasted veggie medley, and coated chicken, Monterey's coconut beef stew, and a slice of ham cornbread bingo. We are definitely going culinary gangster. We're going to go ahead and have cream stop corn. Okay. We roasted some banana leaves. We're going to stay Filipino on this. Stay Filipino on it and use this to naturally moisten the cornbread bingo. Bingo, so it's banana energy.
Wow. Sorry. Yo, man, I'm fucking tired. Oh man, I'm getting roasted. Can't even spell fucking bibinka. I'm sorry. I'm fucking tired.
Was that the Food Network calling you out on that, or what was
Yeah, the spelling was fucking terrible.
The flavors are definitely oatmeal. It tastes like what I grew up with.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yo!
You have no money. You have no experience. But somebody on television decided to show the world we were special. We call it the Gulf area, and it's real.
Yeah! Unmute, show love. Woo!
Let's take a shot, everybody. Just fucking take a shot. Let's drink. Yo, because a lot of feelings.
How was that, John Eric? What was did it turn out how you thought it would?
I had no idea. So it was cool that they're able to intersplice some of the home footage, plus some of the cuts that fell on the floor. Couldn't fucking spell the dinka. Mind you, I didn't sleep. You know, they tell you to like rest up, but you know, like everybody, when we did the call, Scott brought the kids and fucking scrubbed the stainless steel and hell, you know, like everybody came through, and it's not easy, and we're really lucky to be in this position with our folks in these unprecedented times. So all we want to do is continue to take care of everybody and be as safe as possible, and in the end, survive. We all have to survive.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to, as best as possible, find every mechanism to keep as much money in your pockets as possible, negotiate these bills, get this food, work out, and do everything you can to participate in a democratic government that's falling short. So, you know, the mediums, one thing about visual communications as a kid was our ability to be these dumbass kids from Seattle, right? And we went to DC for the visual communications chili visions. And it was a chili cook-off. And it was between LTSC, JACC, Chinatown Service Center, KYCC, Thai CDC, ADAP. Shout out to the ADAP homies. And all of the agencies that were in the community, and all we wanted to do was enjoy a chili cook-off and watch a film. And to be exposed to that and find out it was down the street from where I grew up, and to find out there was Filipino roots there, and to let them take care of these dumbass kids and teach them some shit. We've taken that now and utilized these skill sets of using audio and visual mediums to tell our story. So technology has allowed us to use a phone to cut up stuff and equalize it, right? Because social media has allowed us to do stuff without having to pay promotional fees. But it still takes resources, time, and energy. And our ability to do so together has been because of organizations like DC who believe it was important to not only have us documented, but archive each of our stories.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
And Francis, I don't know if you want to come back and join us. Oh, let's do this, folks.
And for the person you're chatting with.
Oh, okay.
Where's Francis? Why don't you come on and join on? I know people are always saying this, Francis, but I hope you all bring Chili Visions back.
We're actually planning to do it this year.
Oh, next year.
All right. Yo, everybody, hands up. Love to everybody online and our community and family. Thank you for allowing us to do this together. Be safe, be well, be strong, and we'll be through this together. Cheers.
Cheers. Woo! So, Francis, say a little bit. You said that Chili Visions was supposed to come back this year, but are you hoping maybe summer of 2021?
I think serving people food in the public setting is a little challenging right now, but it was something we wanted to do for our 50th year.
Yeah.
And really highlight folks like John, Eric, and Chris, who have these places where they're cooking for the communities, right? So.
Yeah, tell people who are listening a little bit about what Chili Visions is.
Chili Visions is a chili cook-off, and then we feed people with chili and fill them up with beans and stuff, and we put them inside a theater, and we let it combust.
And we get to vote.
You get to vote with beans. I was lucky and blessed to be the last Chili Visions intern in 2002 before Linda passed, and that's really where I think a lot of us learned organizing, not through the festival, but through Chili Visions, through FPAC, through these different places, right? And so, it's just one of those things that just really felt about feeding people and about community and just looking at media from our own spaces, right? So, really missing.
And Chili Visions really was like, I feel like the spirit of Linda. You know, like, and let's just say it, Linda Mabala, right? We miss her so much. And that, I feel like that was one of her joys. Like, she loved that event, and she knew what it meant to just bring people in the most natural way together. Food and competition, right? And it was just joyous. That's why we miss it, because we miss her too.
Yeah, our ability to find ways to celebrate and just have some fun together. We can't wait But in the process, we just need everybody to be safe, and in the process, do everything possible to advocate for our community's needs. Because in the end, look, I'm a kid from the nonprofit world. I was a kid, like many of the people that get services, don't have the money to support these nonprofits, right? Nonprofits exist. Sometimes we struggle with that conversation about how the nonprofit industrial complex. It is an afterthought because the government has failed us. So a community has to find ways to do something, to provide some kind of service to people that most likely don't have no fucking money. Yet at the same time, we do these events to raise money from people that are outside of the communities that it services. But both of them are important. Both of them have a story to tell, and both of them should be engaged. So what's important for us is to know that much love, so much love to the JA community. Because after World War II, when everything was fucking decimated, they decided to create a space on First Street and not only offer it to all of the JAs that were disenfranchised, they offered it to the Filipinos, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Thais, to utilize a space that in turn becomes an anchor for everybody that needs a place to convene, develop, and grow.
Well, something we know in Little Tokyo, right, is that like we don't do it alone and we're not in a vacuum.
Right.
And like you said, it's your home, because it is. Little Tokyo belongs to all of us, and we share that space together. And I don't take that for granted for a second. You know what I mean? It's your space, it's our space. Yeah.
And I can't wait for us to like, I'm staring at our crew. We're watching, we've moved on from the screening. It's now Lakers that are being played on this TV.
All right, yes, priorities.
And I'm, my eyes are going up like double checking, and everybody that's on is double checking. But, what it comes down to is that when we are finding the connection amongst our stories, and that being able to find our connection in the narratives that are happening in these films that are coming from visual communications, it reminds us that, one, the universality of our stories, but the particular details that happen. And I'm inspired. Like, we geek. I'm a fucking goon that loves art. One of the first events. So when you talk about my background, I'm a riot baby. I came from 1992, rebuild Los Angeles. And the money and funding that were implemented in the community to say, look, let's organize these fucking kids. Because if not, they're going to gangbang and kill. Imagine if I was a gangster. The fortitude and just my person. If everybody knows my personality, imagine if I was a fucking gangster. That's bad. And those people that said, give this kid an opportunity to be a kid, but also teach them the responsibility of holding the torch and continuing on with our story and enlightening what's happening. That's where I went to Art Attack. That's where we were in SEPA, and y'all asked me to host, and I hosted at 18 years old, maybe 17 years old, and told, I couldn't even drink. I didn't drink, and I was hosting as some of the rocker Pinoys were smoking fucking weed in the van. But I hosted a performance, Art Attack, and then when Tracy said, look, we're doing this open mic at the Aratani Courtyard next to LTSC's cafe, right? The idea, the incubation of having a nonprofit develop an incubator for a restaurant besides the East-West building gave me all of these were influences to say, why can't we have this shit down the street? My family always stared at shit and said, man, it would be great if we had our own restaurant. But these are all conversations unless you have the skill set, the guidance, and the details to make this shit fucking happen. So I'd host Tuesday nights at the cafe. But, you know, look, I mean, little spots of fucking youth alcoholism and substance abuse, because I was fucking hosting and just having a fun time during these processes. But also understanding, like, I loved enjoying this art. And some people wrote this shit down on their journals. Some of these folks now put it on their phone. I was that kid that memorized it. And I memorized it, and then Tracy said, yo, can you do the fundraiser? Can we host this shit? And then I was hosting ever since, to the point where I do the first, the middle, and the last show of the season. And we even had to create rules because shit, man, I'm tired. If I didn't drink water and I didn't eat anything, and everybody at Tuesday nights at the cafe gives me something to drink, and Francis says, yo, we got leftover booze from BC's film
and
festival.
then I'm chasing down who's giving you liquor, and I'm like, stop until after the show because John Eric needs to finish hosting. God damn it!
No, I barked for 1 minute. The reason I understood I barked for 1 minute is because an Instagram post is 60 seconds. But you know, we've learned, and now I realize, like, okay, when I do a show, I have to really honestly prepare. I don't need to do extra shit. I'll try my best to organize a team, but you know, during these times, we were rushing, right? Not only did we have to cook food at the restaurant, we had to prepare food to bring to Tuesday nights at the cafe, and then get ready to host.
I just want to say this for the recording, you know, because it needs to be said. First of all, you mentioned Art Attack, right? and the relationships go both ways. Historic Filipino Town and J-Town, you know, folks open the arms really wide for us to be able to do shows at SIPA, right? And then later through TNC at Remy's Gallery, like, you know, and Tuesday nights on Temple happened again back at SIPA, right? And, oh no, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm drinking too much scotch. But I think that's the thing, like, you know, John Eric came to our space from a place of a lot of pain because we were mourning the death of Arnold, and you just kept showing up. And I think that's the theme of all of this, right? People just showing up. People keep showing up. And that's what you did. You kept showing up. And it's so amazing to reflect back on, like, just witnessing your journey, because we witnessed you with all that power you speak of. And thank goodness you had your family and community and the right teachers to make sure that you channeled that power in the right direction. And we saw you as a high school student blowing our minds with the way that you and Arnold and folks were already organizing Y Stand with your after school program, and you'd work out at SIPA, and then you do homework together, right? And then all of a sudden you're hosting Art Attack and doing this incredible monologue about growing up in Echo Park, blowing us away yet again. And we're like, this is someone who's their own person. You know, we all knew your brother as an organizer, but we're like, oh, but John Eric is his own person, growing into this role. And then to see you come on stage, pour your heart out, help us heal over our losses, right? And then become our host every show for over 10 years. Go and do your brick and mortar with the Park's Finest. We only for 1 year were able to feel some pride, like, okay, we're gonna support the Park's Finest, and we'll cater for the Park's Finest this year. The next year, you were like, we're donating the food. We're donating the food for every single show. And that's been forever now, you know? So I don't know, man. I am just so grateful. I'm so grateful to just be able to, like, have been part of like witnessing this awesome journey.
And you know, like, these moments, Tracy, I needed that check when I asked for it. In those moments, I needed that check.
And you let us know when you need it again.
Yo, please. And then after that, we're like, you know what? This is the standard order. Have somebody pick it up. Because when I delivered it and Chris delivered it, I'm fucking tired already. And that's the dynamics of it, is that, you know, sometimes folks, when we're at community events, when folks that you've seen that organize you before, and you're like, oh, they're not, it's not that they're not down, but they got to do other shit, you know? So the 20-year-olds, the youth full of vigor and vitality, the world is yours. Just understand there's a lot of people that have been doing it and then they're down. And maybe they might not know the particular nuances in conversation and explanation of how we should be addressing each other. It's not that they're not down. I really joke about me almost fucking killing homeboy, right? There was a time where a JA old school activist, who will not be named, was like chilling, man. And he was like, man, you're saying the same shit that we've been saying since the 70s. Can you fucking move us forward? And you know, I'm there hosting and I could see the disruption. So me, I want to go, you know, hey homie, fucking chill on that. And the old dogs are like, hey, go fucking punch him so I could call the cops on you. And I was like, Tracy grabbed me and held me and said, John, stop! And then they looked, and that was in 2005, 2006. And now I'm like, damn, we're 2019, and we're talking about the same issues. We're talking about the same search for identity, the struggle with our parents, the struggle with society, understanding us. And there's an element where we can critique style, right? Like if we're gonna refine this shit, right? Memorizing stuff, writing it down on paper, now on a phone. Eye engagement, right? These are the little elements that as an artist, as a performer, we want to refine with these people that perform at Tuesday Nights at the Cafe. We want them to have an opportunity to perform for the first time, but we also want to develop and curate the growth of an artist to discover themselves, but also connect with everybody that's across the stage and online. So now as I'm older, he whispers in my ear, man, about, yo, you college students are saying the same shit. But let's be honest, let's look at society and realize it's the same fucking shit. And what are we gonna do to step up?
Yeah, there's a lot to be frustrated over, that's for sure. Cycles, absolutely.
But in the end, let's grow.
I have one last burning question before I have to go in 3 minutes. Tell us about this puffy heart on your sleeve. What's this?
Okay, so Cat Carrito Bonds was able to reach out to us and say, look, I have an opportunity with Grand Park. We're not going to be doing 4th of July normal. We're not going to be blowing shit up. We're not going to be doing the digital City Hall event. So can we connect you with Tupac's director of To Live and Die in LA? And said, yo, we're going to interview you. And in that process, we're going to follow you and see what you're doing. And we're lucky enough to get this featured heart designed and organized for us. So, you know, if you look at our uniform, right, like I'm wearing the short sleeve, but usually like Christine is rocking the long sleeve. She doesn't sit with everybody just because a safety factor. Like if you notice, I'm wearing fucking a beanie and glasses and a mask, because in the end, we're not going inside the haunted house, but we're right at the edge. And you know, whatever extra germs that are happening, we want to just be as protected as possible. So the heart, you know, our look, our vibe is trying to be part of the firefighter, EMT, health providers on the line fighting for our community. So our style definitely implemented that kind of deep navy blue, dark blue, you know, white background. And the heart, I don't got a badge, but they say, you know, wearing your emotions and your heart on your sleeve. So at least, you know, it's a badge of honor.
Let me take a photo.
Boom,
I think
boom,
it's so cute.
boom, 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 boom. You know, to at least, you know, I go to Sprouts and shit. I go to different spots, and people look at me like I'm gonna rob the place. I go to the bank, and I'm masked up, so people think I'm gonna rob the place. And then when they see the heart, they kind of like soften up.
Oh my
When they
gosh,
see the
that's
shirt,
so cute,
when
though.
they see the hearts on the shirt, they soften up because they're like, okay, ideally this guy's not starting shit. So, I mean, I'm covered up. Everybody's trying to be covered up, be
Yes.
responsible, but
Yes.
still show love, man. We all got to show love to our community.
I'm gonna shout out some names. We see Kat and Maya and Tamlin, Tad, Asil, Sean, Allison, Lainey, Josen, so many folks, you know, bouncing back and forth between this and the Lakers. Lindy, Bernice, Junko, Monica, Carol, Darren. So we just want to say thanks. I'm going to pass it now to Francis to take you on through the next few minutes. And I love this. This was so much fun. Miss you.
So,
Yeah, this is what
Sister
we
T,
miss.
love you. I mean, damn,
Love
man.
you.
Be safe,
Love you.
and then like the garage.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, yo,
Yes, my punching bag is right here. So, you know.
yo. Everybody just know how to avoid a Proud Boy punch. Okay, all right,
I'll take some
here.
lessons. I'll
right?
take some lessons
So
for me.
just keep this here
I got my,
and
wait,
here,
look, I got my new gloves.
right?
Where's our gloves?
Here.
Gloves.
Here. So, as long as your hands are up, ideally, you can just avoid a punch from a Proud Boy. And then just slip, just enough. And then just
You know.
avoid. Fuck it, you know what I mean? Fuck. Everybody tighten up, baby. Everybody got to tighten up because let's not deal with bullshit. Protect
Yes.
our families and our community.
Oh, Beverly Januaria. Okay. I'm going to take one more photo. Cheese.
Chris.
Oh, yep.
I'm going to take a picture. Chris. Tracy's about to bounce.
Love you. Cheese.
Love.
All right, folks. This is so much fun.
Thank
I'll
you,
make it a
Tracy.
point to see you in person from a distance. We'll do some air hugs. Thank you all. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Asil. Thank you. And keep it going. Keep it going. Still celebrating with y'all.
Hi, Tracy. John Eric, remind us what's happening on Tuesday again.
Okay, so Tuesday, the Park's Finest is making exclusive plates for dine-in, to-go, and delivery, utilizing our delivery platforms, our online model for pickup, as well as your opportunity to dine in safely and responsibly at Thunderbolt next door. We are offering 2 items. So please do not ask for substitutions. We're doing the People's Plate, an extra tin, a nice little tin of Ann's Cornbread Bibinka, and a Knob Creek Coconut Wash Rye of the T-Town Boxing Club. We're lucky enough to do a Suntory collaboration, doing a Toki highball, and from 12 to 6, you can get the Park's Finest combo plate, People's Combo Plate, which includes rice, carrots, elote esquite style, Noel's cornbread, Noel's smoked Gouda mac and cheese, Anne's cornbread bebinka, 16-hour pulled pork confit style, and candy coated chicken for $15. So the whole idea is, if you want to take some home to the family, go fucking grub that. If you want to chill with the homies that you haven't seen for a bit and you all know you're good, we can put you in a space where you can comfortably chill. Maximum 6 people, right? No more than that, or amongst a circle. Other than that, we'll put you at another table from a distance and you can toast 12 feet from each other. But the idea is this: from 12 to 6, we can offer you food that we haven't cooked for everybody since March. The only people that have been able to eat the park's finest has been the Frontliners. And we would love for y'all to enjoy with us and dine with us, celebrate with us, be safe with us, and then take that food home to the family and know that in the end, as long as we stay safe, we're going to enjoy this again together. That's the game plan, right? Everybody will enjoy this again together as long as we're safe and we move through this situation.
Can we get a shot of this food?
Oh. So Christine is saying, take a look at where we've transitioned.
This is everybody that takes care of people in this pandemic.
So they're kind of playing beer pong with 22 quart Cambro containers. Not very, they're having fun, at least.
John Eric, what other ways can we support you after Tuesday? What's happening with the Frontliners project and everything else?
When it comes down to it, I mean, like, the power of somebody's thumbs to trend stuff, right? To help things trend doesn't take that much effort. So if we can all help the Park's Finest trend together, we're not going to open, but we want at least more followers to help engage with us so we can share stories. And we don't really just share our own stories, we share the community stories. We're sharing BC stories. We're sharing, all of our people's stories, because damn, doesn't it feel good to fucking be victorious about something? So we have to absorb joy together. And if we can be a vehicle for that, that's where we can grow. So look, it's a struggle as a nonprofit to tap into the community base that's already giving as much as they can. But if they have positions of power where they can influence support, matching grants, whatever we can to supplement that, then that allows these organizations to grow. Chris, I, Mike, and the Park's Finest, all of us are the long play. We are the representation of 50 years of insight ahead of time. And we're barely blossoming now.
Yeah, I'm winning beer pong.
Christine is winning beer pong with our 22 quarts. So if we are an example of the fruit of the labor since the 1960s, what are we doing to instill the next growth next year, 10 years from now? So these are the things that I think ideally we need to strategize on and really demand an investment of our community long term, a demand of our municipalities, our state and federal representatives to invest in this. Dude, I didn't go to UCLA, but I was at a lot of UCLA rallies and protests. And in the 2000s, how much did we spend on weapons of mass destruction that did not exist? And if they did exist, they're manufactured with US military fucking breakdowns. and billing. And all that money has been spent, and all of these homeless veterans exist on Temple Street, on Azusa, on fucking Skid Row. And we were saying this is wrong back then. There is no pleasure in saying I told you so. Matter of fact, it's fucking disappointing. But for us to be able to grow our community and demand our government to invest in the needs of the people, we have to, and we will. Imagine if the UTLA teachers started the strike now. Fail. But we were there supporting their needs and their demands. And if you look at it now, how valued is childcare? How valued is education, direct communication with youth and their peers? But when it comes back down to it, you know, family, the kids are going to be all right. Make them read fucking comic books. Go fucking learn some Boy Scout, Girl Scout shit together. I couldn't make it a fucking Boy Scouts. I didn't make that shit. I got cut. But why don't I learn some rope tying shit and learn how to start a fire with some kids? Because that's the fucking skills that we're going to learn as we talk about our earthquake preparedness. We're Californians, man. Fucking learn how to prepare yourself over an earthquake. Political turmoil and everything else, you know, will fucking work its way out. So to the family, all we want to make sure is grandparents are safe. Aunties, uncles, godparents are safe. You are okay. You're checking in with your partner. We're doing everything we can to be physically fit, financially secure, make the negotiations we need. And then with the kids, build them up and talk shit because they need to get stronger. These kids got to get stronger for them to fucking take over this world.
Great. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please catch the episode of Triple D. Congratulations, John Egg and Chris and the rest of your Park Finest team. We couldn't show it today because that would be illegal, but please catch it at your local channels or providers. Hope to see everybody on Tuesday. And this is really, thank you for doing this, John. We sort of did this together like the last minute, and I'm glad this all happened because this is really, even personally, what I needed for today. So thank you everybody for joining.
Love to everybody. Thank you guys.
Any final words, John?
Everybody be safe. And just know, to be honest, together, we're going to be okay. So if you need help, if you need a moment to debrief, check in with us. Check in with the people that are online. Because let's put it into perspective, we're going to be all right. Your ancestors dealt with fucking crazy shit too. So if we can fucking figure out the strength of our ancestors and apply it now, we're going to be okay. But ideally, it's when we talk about our ancestors, it's everybody behind Francis's wall. It's everybody that you've had a conversation with in this chat. It's all of us together. And that's how we will survive. And we have to survive together. Because this story, this information needs to carry on after this crisis.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Blessings to you all. And stay safe. And we'll see you for the rest of the film festival happening for another 28 days or so. And please go out and vote in about 32 days. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody say bye.
Bye.